Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mongoli Show. I want to let you know that I got a chance to see James Gunn's Superman 2025 this afternoon, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some things that I really did like, some things I didn't really care that much for. I'll give you the spoiler free for a couple of minutes, and then I'll jump right into spoilers right after this. All right, so first up, I just want to let you know that I am not the biggest Superman fan. I enjoy comic books. I'm more of a Marvel person. I really like the street level characters like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Batman even. I know he's DC, but I like those kind of characters. I'm not as big on the like grander, larger than life characters like Superman. He's a little too powerful in my opinion. Now, that being said, I generally like his multimedia though, like not necessarily the comic books, but maybe like the TV shows, movies, stuff like that. Like most of my knowledge of him comes from like the DCEU or the Dean Cain show from the 90s or the animated show, stuff like that. So outside of that, I don't have a ton of knowledge on this character. And no, I'm not going to go heavy into the whole James Gunn versus Zack Snyder thing. I liked Man of Steel. I liked this movie. Let's move on. That said, there's probably stuff in this movie that I missed. There's a ton of stuff going on in this movie. This is definitely a Superman movie. He's absolutely the main character, but there's a lot of other characters going on in this movie as well. You've got a Green Lantern, you got a Hawk Girl, you've got Mr. Terrific, who I know nothing about, but I really liked in this movie. And you've got another character whose name I'm missing. It's not Martian Manhunter, but it kind of reminded me of Martian Manhunter. Like instead of shape-shifting into other people, he shape-shifted into other elements, which was kind of a neat twist. I don't know who that character is. Please leave a comment down below if you're like, oh my God, you're an idiot. This is this person. Less hate, but you know that. Other than that, though, I thought the story was really well done, very compelling. There was an issue that I had with it, which I don't want to spoil, but I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. The acting I thought was all fantastic. I really liked David Cornsweet's Superman and Clark Kent in this. He did a little bit more transformative work to turn into Clark Kent than, say, Henry Cavill did. No Henry Cavill hate. I really liked him. I was actually sad when he lost the job as Superman. But seeing this movie and the direction James Gunn wanted to go with it, I totally understand why he wanted to switch that character up. This is, I mean, they're both Superman, but this is a very different take on Superman. Both of them are good. Both of them are valid. They're just really, really different. I don't know David Cornsweet from anything. Like, obviously, Henry Cavill is now Geralt. He's Superman. He's the guy who cocks his arms for no reason. Even in interviews, I really like him. Like, he's great. I have no complaints about him whatsoever. I don't know anything about David Cornsweet, assuming I'm even pronouncing that properly, outside of this movie. And it was really nice having a character that is... I don't want to say faceless, but like that you don't, he has no baggage. That's the way to put it. I really like having a character like this who has no baggage. You come into him completely clean and what you see is what you get. He is a much more homegrown, naive boy Scout Superman. And that really worked for me. I actually like that more than I thought I would. He also feels a little bit more or less powerful than the average Superman. Most of the fights he's in, he's literally in a fight. He's not just showing up and winning because he's there. And that worked really well for me as well. I won't go, again, no spoilers, so I won't talk about that too much more. Just saying, like, I liked the direction they went with him. The other character that I really liked in this was Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Now, he applied to actually be Superman in this movie, and they were like, well, we don't think you're Superman, but we do have a great role for you. And I think he killed it. I thought he did so incredibly well in this movie. Now, I do know Nicholas Hoult from a couple other things, like X-Men, Mad Max, at least one other that I'm totally blanking on, but I know I've seen. Anyways, I really like him as an actor, but in this one especially, he just had such weight and gravitas about him. Every time he was on screen, you just couldn't look away. He is exactly who I picture when I think of Lex Luthor, as opposed to Michael Eisenberg, who I like as an actor, but did not like in that role whatsoever. This one is conniving. He's brooding. He's logical. He is outthinking Superman in the exact way that he's supposed to. I thought he did so incredibly well, and I really liked him. Third main character I want to go over is Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. This is by far my favorite live action adaptation of Lois Lane. I have not seen all of the original Supermans from the 70s. I've only ever seen the first one, so don't come at me if she was amazing in the second one or something. But from what I've seen, this is the strongest version of Lois Lane, who is intelligent, determined, beautiful, but not sexy. Like they don't sex her up in this movie in any way, shape, or form, which I appreciated. But also, even when she's in danger, she's never the damsel in distress. I hope you don't think that that's a spoiler. It shouldn't be. I'm just letting you know, like, Her character has weight to her. Her character has power behind her, and her character is a force in her own right, the way Lois Lane should be. I just think she was done incredibly well. Her writing was fantastic. Her acting was great. I'm not super familiar with Rachel Brosnahan. I feel like maybe I've seen her in something. She looked mildly familiar, but I couldn't place it while I was watching the movie. So I'm curious to go back through her filmography and see if there is something else that I can check her out in. I think she was fantastic in this. As far as the acting goes in this, everybody seemed to bring their A game. The Justice Gang with Eddie Gathegi, Nathan Fillion, and Isabella Marced as Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawk Girl, respectively. Super fun. I think Hawk Girl had the least to do, unfortunately. Mr. Terrific was a big part of this movie. I don't know anything about him, and I really liked his character. There's one scene where you get to see him, what he really can do. Super fun, incredibly well shot. Loved the point of view on that one. Really makes me want to look into that character a little bit more. Now, I know Green Lanterns. I don't know that much about Guy Gardner. My understanding is that ridiculous haircut is comic accurate, so good for you, James Gunn, but he looked weird to me. I love Nathan Fillion. Never going to complain about seeing him in a movie, but this wasn't exactly my favorite look for a Green Lantern. As far as the look of the movie goes, I talked about James Gunn. Yeah, he's the writer and director, and a massive amount of props go out to him. This movie looks gorgeous. None of the CGI looked bad to me. The storyline, for the most part, was fantastic. I do have a couple of qualms with it, and the jokes, unfortunately, didn't really land for me. Now, I will admit, I saw this movie by myself. I saw it in a basically empty theater. Probably that didn't help, but there was only one moment that I kind of chuckled, and I'm not entirely sure I was supposed to chuckle in that moment. It's just the dog does something, and we've got a new dog at home, so it's kind of like that. Oh, yeah, that. Huh, cute. But none of the actual like jokes they tried to hit with me, or from the sound of it, anybody in my audience. So that's a little unfortunate. And James Gunn obviously is a very funny director. He likes to throw comedy into his stuff, but maybe this one would have been better if they just left it out. Or maybe I just was in the wrong audience for it. I can't really say on that one, but it didn't hit for me at the time I saw it. This movie's in theaters right now. It just came out a couple of days ago. I would absolutely recommend you go and check it out. I'm going to say that before I get into my spoiler stuff. So if you just wanted to know whether or not I recommend it, this is a thumbs up for me. I did enjoy this movie. I watched it. The movie theater we go to, there's a row of D-box seats, which are those ones that like rumble and stuff in the movies. And I sat in the row right in front of that. So I didn't have to pay the extra, but I still got a little bit of that like residue from it. So all of the like punches and like loud bombastic movements in the show, I still felt it a little bit, and that was really cool. That's probably the best way to see something like this. Just like really engulf yourself in the movie. Just let yourself just immerse into it. It was a really fun movie. It looked gorgeous, and I have no real complaints. I know some people said that it's a little bit over bloated, maybe with the 2-hour runtime and how many characters they tried to fit into that. Some people have said it's actually not bloated enough. They wish it was a little bit longer to get a bit more. I was actually pretty okay with the runtime. There was nothing that the one thing I would have gone a little bit deeper into is just who Lex Luthor is as a person. We only really get to see him as a supervillain, but he does such a good job that I don't really care that much. It's just that's the one thing I'd be like, I could go for more of that. Other than that, I thought this movie's runtime was great. I thought the world with the amount of characters in it just made it felt lived in. So I really didn't complain about that whatsoever. Like seeing Superman interact with other metahumans, I think was great. And the problem with like the MCU nowadays is anytime that like Captain America is fighting somebody in New York and it's a big threat for him and he's really struggling, the audience is going to naturally sit there and go like, well, why isn't Spider-Man helping him? Like, where's Iron Man? Why isn't Thor? Like, what's going on? Where are the Avengers? And in this movie, you do see Superman working as a team with others or relying on a team of others in order to help get the thing done. And I thought that was really, really cool. That's it for my spoiler-free review. I enjoyed it. Go check it out. I can't really say too much more about that. In a few seconds, we'll jump straight into the spoilers and probably my biggest complaint with this movie. So if you're still here, I'm going to say some stuff you might not want to hear. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My biggest issue with this movie is, quite frankly, that Superman, it's so weird to me because my biggest complaint with Superman in general is that he's too strong. And in this one, he feels too weak. And I know that makes me a conundrum. I liked that every fight he got into was a fight. I didn't like that every fight he got into, he basically needed to get bailed out by somebody else. Like, if I'm going through all the action set pieces in this movie, there's not a single one that he does by himself. There's not a single enemy that he vanquishes alone. The one thing could be when he flies into outer space and lands back down with the two people on his back, I guess. sure, he took out the woman who I really not sure why was a threat in the first place. Like, she's throwing microblades at him and he's made of steel. Like, just stand there and take that. Yeah, so like if you're starting at the very beginning, we see that Superman has just off screen got his butt kicked. He's landing in the snow and then he calls for Krypto to come and save him. Gets him back to the Fortress of Solitude and the robots heal him. He goes back out and loses the fight for a second time where a like hot dog vendor has to save him. And then like every scene after that, it's just like he has to call for Krypto to help him like 3 times, whether it's getting out of the whatever they call it, the lava river, but they didn't call it that, the stream of something else. Whether it's, you know, fighting the robot at the very end and like he has to get Krypto to take out the bots flying around. Like his heat vision couldn't have just done that, but whatever, gives the dog something to do, I guess. Mr. Terrific is the one responsible for actually getting him out of the prison. Mr. Terrific is the one responsible for sealing up the fate at the end of the world, like getting the world back together. Lois Lane is the one responsible for bringing down Lex Luthor. The dog is responsible for saving him like 3 times. The Justice Gang is the ones that save the war-torn country from the invading forces. Like, in a Superman movie, and it is a Superman movie, like he's definitely the main character, there wasn't a triumphant moment where like he saved the day or he did something incredible. And it was just kind of like, once you're thinking about that, you're like, oh, he kind of Indiana Jones did. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say that he could have not been there and it would have turned out the same, but like the Justice Gang took out the giant monster taking out the main city. The Sphere of Light, which is a great scene, I love that. The Sphere of Light, he's just like letting them do it, which I you know, I'm not going to argue about that. I actually thought that was a great scene. I really loved him having a moment with Lois and having the emotional maturity to be like, you know what? I've got a team for a reason. They're good. They've got this. I can be here in the moment. My favorite superhero is Spider-Man, but I feel like in any situation where Spider-Man hears like a police siren, he's gone. Like, it doesn't matter what him and Mary Jane are doing. If he's like, oh, there's a car accident, I better go, and he's putting on the mask and jumping out the window. It was kind of nice to see a superhero be like, no, like, I am 2 people. This is important too. I've got teammates. They're good. We got this. It also made just a more visually interesting scene while he's talking to Lois. So it was cool too. But I really liked that scene. The interview scene between him and Lois, I thought was fantastic writing. I really enjoyed the banter back and forth with them. She's staying super professional, on task. He's kind of bouncing back and forth because he's wearing two faces, right? Like, she is just Lois Lane, the reporter. It's not hard for her to remember who she is. He's going back and forth between Clark Kent and Superman, and he's tripping up here and there. I thought it was brilliantly written. I really liked it. Now, I did wish, just because I'm a very vocal person, I like to talk myself through problems, at the end where she's like, oh, I knew this would never work, and he just leaves. I wish he'd said something, be like, I'm frustrated with you, but like, I don't hate you. I want to still be together. Something other than just like walking out the door. But what are you gonna do? One of the great things about this movie is talking about hope and kindness. Superman in this movie, while a little naive, is incredibly kind. He's trying desperately to figure out a way to solve the problems without anybody getting hurt. They talk about, unlike Man of Steel, where like the kill count had to be in the millions, in this movie, I think they say like not a single person was hurt in that entire kaiju scene, other than, I guess, the kaiju, which even that was the Justice Gang taking out. So we see him even saving like a squirrel. Again, the scene with him taking, like, sheltering the little girl. I think it was a little girl, might be a little boy. I think it was a little girl. And the canisters flying out at him. I love that scene so much. Like, he's just putting himself between the little girl and danger. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. The scene with the little boy holding up the flag, we saw that in the trailers, but now knowing that the little boy has already been saved by Superman once, like he's already come and protected their country, and he's looking for him to do it again. And even when like all the adults are running away, the little boy is still holding up the flag, crying out with hope in his breath, just like, come on, Superman. Now, it's not Superman who comes and saves him, but regardless, I thought that scene was absolutely beautiful. The character assassination of the Jor-Els, or his parents, Jor-El and Lara, was weird to me. Like, having them at the very beginning of the movie where they're talking about like how much they love their son and like he means the world to them, and that's like reassuring for him, I thought was great. But the fact that it wasn't anything that Lex altered, it was actually just his parents being like, yeah, take over the planet and have a harem, was like, that doesn't feel like the same people who talked a minute ago. You know what I mean? Like, even in the same conversation, that doesn't quite make sense, let alone for what little I know of those characters. Now, if you're going to come back at me with be like, well, actually, in the comic books, they are kind of like that, that's fair. I can't argue against that. All I really know is the movies and TV shows that I've seen. But in those, that felt very off. Now, what I really did like is Ma and Pa Kent. I didn't like them the first time that we saw them when like she's talking on the cell phone and they're playing that bit where like, look, she's from the country. She doesn't know how technology works. Eat me. I hated that so much. But the further into the movie we get, the more you realize like, no, like he is this naive, friendly Boy Scout. These are the parents he would have to get to that point. Like Kevin Costner in Man of Steel is a great parent for the Henry Cavill Superman that we got. He's very rigid, he's very stoic. That makes sense. This Superman would not be built from that parenting style. So the parents that we get make a lot of sense further into the movie. And there's a lot of things in this movie that when you see them that don't make sense, but they kind of explain it later on. So you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they did explain that. But at the time, you're just like, how did Lex walk into the Fortress of Solitude? Like, how, like they don't explain that until like an hour and a half later, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. So I like that. I like they do get to it, but it's not like we have to have info dumps every time something happens. I also like the actors for Ma and Pa Kent. I thought they did a good job, but they were also just looked so much more like the average Americans, for lack of a better term. I don't mean that insultingly in any way, shape, or form. I just mean like they weren't specifically big actors or beautiful people. They were just like people. And it was like, this is exactly the kind of people who would find a baby in the middle of a field and just like raise him as their own. And then the end scene, like there's a couple of scenes where like they were clearly trying to get you emotionally. But the end scene where Superman's like, oh, show me my parents. And it's no longer Jor-El and Lara, but instead it's Ma and Pa Kent and like his memories as a childhood, memories from childhood. Absolutely beautiful scene. Really, really enjoyed that. I don't know if you can tell there's a little bit of choke in the back of my throat right now just talking about it. But I really did enjoy that. So overall, I think the acting was fantastic. I think the CGI was really good. I think the story was pretty much flawless. I wish Superman had at least one scene where he like really saved the day, like late on in the movie, probably like he's kind of like failing and needs help all along the way, but then there's like the scene where he like breaks out and just does something just incredible that nobody thought he could do. I guess that's him flying into outer space and then crashing into the earth, I guess, but something bigger than that for me personally. Acting, story, music. Oh my god, the music was so good in this. I love them bringing in little bits of the Superman theme from the 70s, reworking it, making it sound just fantastic, but they never really give it to you all at once. They kind of just give you little themes here and there, and I thought it was just really, really well done. Yeah, I think my only two complaints is I would have liked a little bit less. Like, I like the Lex Luthor that we got, but I would have liked also to have had some semblance of a backstory for him, or some semblance of like who he is when he's not hunting Superman, because we only see him as the villain. We never see him as a person. But at the same time, I really liked what we saw of him, so I wouldn't change any of it. I would just add a little bit more. His girlfriend, whose name I'm completely blank on, Mutant Toes, that was one of the things in the movie that I really didn't get. If you're a genius billionaire, there's a good chance you can get almost any woman on the planet that you want. Why would you get one that is so stupid you can't have a conversation with her, or at least comes across as being very ditzy? I guess I should point out, because she actually did have some brains in her. She actually did have a decent plot, assuming you believe that she was taking those selfies on purpose. But somebody who like just doesn't seem like they would be anywhere close to his level intellectually, and is apparently got something so wrong with her feet that Jimmy Olsen, generally referred to as, you know, I mean, in this movie he's kind of a stud, but generally I think he's kind of just like the background player. He's turning her down, but Lex Luthor is with her. Didn't that seem odd to anybody else? Was that just me? Okay. So, I mean, it's not without flaws. And the humor, as I said, just did not do anything for me. There's a couple of times where they clearly were looking for a laugh, and they did not get a single one from my theater, I think the entire movie. Which is a little unfortunate. The one time that I did say that I chuckled a little bit, that I don't know if I was supposed to, is when Superman wakes up at his parents' farm. Crypto is just like wagging his tail, excitedly looking at him like, you're awake! That's 100% something my dog would do. So, like, that was one of those, like, oh yeah, I get that. Other than that, the dog, I guess, yeah, the dog was another problem for me. Most of the time, I did not enjoy the dog in this movie. Just an untrained mutt running around that everybody's kind of like frustrated with. Like, it was kind of chuckly once, but it just kept happening over and over and over again. And when he's taking Lex out at the very end, I was done. Like, that was not it for me. The moment where Superman confronts him and he's clearly lost, I could have gone for more of just those two actors bouncing off of each other instead of him bouncing around in the dog's clutches. That wasn't for me, but so be it. Other than that, again, I really did enjoy this movie. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it a second time with hopefully a bigger audience or more people, maybe like a family member or something, somebody that I can like bounce ideas off of and hopefully laugh with. I would love to be proven wrong about the comedy. I'll admit, James Gunn comedy doesn't always do it for me. It took me like 3 or 4 tries to really love Guardians of the Galaxy the same way most people seem to. So maybe a couple of tries in, I'll like this one even more than I already do. With that, I'll just let you know that I do stream 3 times a week over at twitch.tv/The Mongoolie Show. So if you want to come talk movies or watch me play video games, you can do that over there. Hit the follow button. Or if you enjoyed this video and you made it this far in the video, you probably did, just hit the like and subscribe button so that I see you in the next one.